Coming up live on LiveWire, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about the summer of safety, you and me, and two of my guests here, wonderful guests who are experts in this whole thing about safety. And it's Jennifer Donlon-Wyant, who is a planning manager for the Sacramento Planning Commission, and another expert, but in a different field, Sergeant Kenneth Collier of the Sacramento Police Department. Right after this. Okay, here we are. We're going to be talking about safety, automobile safety, bicycling safety, and all of that. It is really something. And the Sacramento area has a commission of people who come up with wonderful changes to the laws or ideas to make your driving safer, and all kind of things like that there. And Jennifer Donlon-Wyant is an expert in that field, aren't you?
Well, I'm the transportation planning manager for the city, and one of the key things that we focus on is transportation safety. It's foundational to the work that we do.
Good. And Sergeant Ken, you are have been on the police force, and so you know how it works from the other end when people are not being safe.
That's exactly right, yeah. I supervise our traffic enforcement unit, and traffic is a big issue here in Sacramento. And a lot of people know that,
Yeah.
And we know it more than anybody, right? We get to see some of the bad side of it, but we also get to see the good side of it, where we work in partnership with other members of the community and our partners within the city, like at Public Works, to help provide the highest level of safety that we can for the city. And the time is now for us to continuously work together to make things better for our city and safer.
So we have the laws, and we also have programs that help us drive better or bicycle better or, just get across the town.
Yes.
That seems to be growing. I don't know, people are having babies and things, and those babies grow up, and then they have to get a driver's license. And you see what happens?
That's what happens.
Yeah, that's absolutely what happens. Well, we are growing as a city, and so we continue to grow, and as we add more people, one of the things we have to think about is there enough room for everybody to be driving for every trip? And so maybe you don't have to. And some of the programs that my team has, we have our urban biking class that we offer free for every month on the fourth Thursday. And this class teaches folks about how to bike in a city and how to do it safely and how to follow the laws of California. So that maybe, you don't have to maybe still drive to work, but maybe you want to take your bike to go to the park or go to the community center. Or go out to dinner, right?
Yeah, I was walking the dog. I know there's a dog park, but it's 6 blocks away, and I think, well, I'll just throw them in the back of my van and drive on down there.
That's an easy walk.
That's very easy.
6 blocks,
yes.
I could do it. So I do.
It's good exercise for you and your dog.
Well, it's true, it is, but I grew up in Southern California where there are no sidewalks, or at least in the town I grew up in, it had no sidewalks, and so, it was made for you to jump in that four-wheel deal and drive away. So the impulse for me to go be a driver, is strong. However, walking the dog's a lot of fun because Sacramento has got a lot of good sidewalks, and we could walk there easily.
Yeah.
I'll try it.
I encourage you to try it.
Okay.
It'll be fun. Not when the smoky like today, though.
Oh, it's horrible, but
Yeah.
we're not up in the mountains where there are people just driving out, and
You're evacuating.
they can't be up there. I know some people, older people who retired in the mountains. Ooh.
Yeah.
They had lung problems when they went up there. Yeah. So anyway, I'm really interested in how you two work together in a way in terms of the points of view of moving towards a safer Sacramento.
That's a great question. Mind if I start and kick it over to
Please
you?
do.
All right. So my team looks at how the street is designed or engineered. So how many travel lanes? What is it like to turn a car? Can drivers see pedestrians? And as we have funding, we redesign our streets to make them safer. However, we can only do so much engineering because we only have so much money, and each money every year. And so we also want to do is education and encouragement. So my team does the education, like the bike classes, and we go out and talk to
Bike
folks.
classes, stop.
Yep.
What do you mean?
The
Teach
bike,
someone
the
how to
urban
ride a
biking classes, how to bike in a city to do it safer,
Okay.
and to be safer and to be aware. So we do those types of things, and then we collaborate with the police department. We get together on a regular basis and talk about hotspots or issues or programs that we're working on. And so, Ken, where do you pick it up from there?
Yeah, so what we do is, from the police department side, obviously the enforcement element exists for us when it comes to writing tickets or issuing warnings, that sort
Do you
of thing.
give tickets to people on bicycles very much?
Well, it's something that we do and we can do. It doesn't happen a lot. Most of our bicyclists do receive what we call the education side of our work, right? And it's having conversations about why the laws exist for bicyclists, and it really is for their safety, right? And you talk about things like from stopping at red lights and stop signs when there's traffic flowing through the area, riding on the right-hand edge of the roadway, using hand signals. All of those things are designed to help keep bicyclists safe.
Yes.
Because we want to create as much visibility for those that are in automobiles, which are the objects that can hurt our bicyclists riding on the roadway. So creating education for them is much more important than issuing a citation, because if they learn the lesson through a conversation about why it's important to be safe on their bicycle and obey those laws that are designed to help keep them safe, then I feel like we're doing better work in that sense, right? Okay. And because a lot of their actions really are things that can cause their own harm versus hurting somebody else. Now, when it comes to bicyclists too, they can impede pedestrian traffic and that sort of thing that would have right of way and crosswalks, by example. But it's that piece that we work together with Jennifer's shop to create safety through the education programs and kind of taking it from a different angle, right? They have more of a public purview on providing education, where we come from the enforcement side and say, and it's not to strong arm people and say you could get a ticket for this much money. It isn't intended to be that way, but to say this is why it's unsafe. These are, we can provide statistics, and that's some of the things that our officers do, right? Is talk about how high the city is in ranking, and not in a good way, for injury collisions and fatal collisions and DUI-related collisions, by example. So having conversations is really key for us as a way of providing that education, but it also provides an opportunity for us to engage with the community in a different way, rather than just being this enforcement arm. We are members of the community just the same, and it's important to us as those that we're providing. Our intention is to provide safety for the community, and we do that in a lot of different ways, and education is probably the most important way for us to do that. Enforcement's on the other side of it, and we do provide enforcement when it's absolutely necessary, and that's usually those egregious type of violations that we see that come with an education piece and the enforcement, and then in terms of a citation or a warning that comes with that.
Okay, so Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer, the commission then, it oversees your planning documents, but it also has experts on it must be some expertise in the field, right?
So the Active Transportation Commission is appointed by City Council. They're members of the public, and each council member gets to appoint somebody, including the mayor. And they don't have to be experts. They have to have interest, although 2 of those seats are for an advocate, so somebody who advocates around transportation and active transportation, and 1 seat is for somebody who is a professional. And they give their input. Right now, our current official professional seat is housed by somebody who works for the state, Caltrans, our State Department of Transportation. And they advise us. And so they advise staff, they advise the council, and then ultimately City Council makes the final decisions on how we're moving forward.
Okay. So we're in a kind of a period of change right now. There's like kinds of, Sacramento is, houses are being sold, 3 or 4 houses on my block. People are moving out. Older folks are moving out, they're moving to somewhere. And younger people are moving in from like San Francisco, Los Angeles, where I learned how to drive, point my car rather than drive. And, you know, it's a change, and so I'm sure that you must be having a kind of a curve upwards in terms of some issues of either committing some offenses, speeding, you know, down J Street, stuff like that.
Well, for sure, we know that with the exception of COVID, which changed our transportation patterns significantly, we are seeing more congestion. We're seeing a lot more drivers, but we're also seeing a lot more people walking and a lot more people biking. And that's been a big change, I would say, over the last 3 to 4 years. That we've seen that significant change. And it's not always about enforcement. Sometimes it's education. And the great thing in working with the police department is it was before Ken came on board. We were it was 2019, and we were doing some education on scooters, those motorized scooters. And they're not supposed to be used on sidewalks per California law. So my team and I went out with the police department to do some education. And this is why it's always wonderful to partner with the police department, because they're like, who are these ladies telling us not to bike on the sidewalk? We're not in uniform. We don't look official. But the police officers who are with us, they were great. They had great conversations with folks who didn't know the law. And that's that education piece of reaching out, having those conversations with members of the public.
Yes.
And it comes better off from somebody in uniform than it does from me and my team.
Star up there.
I think it carries a little bit of weight.
A little bit, sometimes.
Sometimes it does, yeah, I'm sure. There are other people who don't care about that.
Also true.
So, okay, well, it's very interesting in terms of how Sacramento is changing and how, you know, its commission is working with the police department and other departments, right?
Oh, absolutely. We work with YPC, which is the Youth Parks and Community Enrichment. It used to be called the Parks Department. We work with them a lot because we want to connect folks to there. So whether you're walking, biking, or driving, or taking transit to the parks or the community centers like we're in today, they're important foundations to our community, and how can we get folks there? So we collaborate with a lot of departments, including our planning department, which does housing and approves new buildings. We want to make sure that any new developments that come in, that they provide the right transportation features and that those features are safe. Because it's in downtown, you might have just one building. But if you look outside the core of the city, they're building whole new areas. And we want to make sure those are safe as well.
Yes, and parking and things like that are important.
Very important.
I live in Midtown, and I can tell you that parking on my block is bizarre. But for some reason, I don't know, there must be this kind of zone over my front, right, because I get home and there's my spot.
Oh, you're very lucky.
I think my wife comes out with a stick.
Parking can be very contentious.
Sure.
Well, we have a whole division that manages parking, but we get involved with that.
How the bicycling program, how do you reach kids to do that? I mean, or whoever bikes. I mean, they're adults on biking, of course.
Yeah, we actually mostly work with adults, and so our classes that we offer are focused on adults. Youth education requires special skills and knowledge. In my previous life, I did a lot of work in schools, around safe routes to school planning and programming and teaching kids, doing bicycle rodeos, fun things like that. But we mostly focus on adults, and we go through social media.
And I noticed you got something coming up here, urban bicycling and scooting 101.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is up there.
There it is. Yes, it's in a few places.
And scooting 101. So you can just jump in there. Boy, that is one long cityofsacramento.org public works transportation / programs and servers / can you fix that? Bicycling program / urban bicycling class.
We need to get a QR code.
I think we do need a QR code. Or maybe if you just Google Sacramento urban biking class, you might be able to get there faster.
Jump to it. But September 9th is what to put on, 12 to 1 p.m.
Yep, and it's free. Anybody can sign up and take it. And it's usually not a full hour. It's usually a little bit less. And we offer them sometimes in the afternoon, so at lunchtime. And sometimes we offer them in the evenings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're all virtual right now because of COVID, although we used to offer them in person. And I think when we go back, we'll probably do a hybrid of a little bit online.
I sure hope so.
And a little bit in person. Yeah.
You know, I think it's important. So we have also another thing to look at. What is it? It's a video of some kind. Or yes, it is. Oh, no. Yes, it is. Mega graphic. Have a look.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
We want you to follow, such as parking them in designated drop zones or at bike racks.
Can you do like a van and white? So what's your name?
Hey, my name is Jennifer.
And what is that?
Well, this is a scooter. Check it out. The city of Sacramento is about to be getting 2,000 of these because these are great ways of transportation. Another way to not use your car and get around the city. But there are some rules that we want you to follow, such as parking them in designated drop zones or at bike racks.
Can you do like a Van and White?
It's illegal in the state of California to scoot on a sidewalk. Use the street. When you're scooting on the street, make sure you scoot in the same travel direction as cars. No, that's on camera, right? When you're scooting on the street, be sure to scoot in the same travel direction as movement. Why can't I say this right? Travel with traffic, that's it. And when you're scooting on the street and you encounter a pedestrian crossing the street, yield to that pedestrian. California law requires that bicyclists, scooters, and drivers yield to pedestrians and crosswalks. Travel with traffic.
Travel with traffic.
I did that take like 4 times before we got it right. But we finally got it right, but he didn't use it. And that's fine. The outtakes were fun.
That's okay.
Yes.
And I think people get it, you know, that it's a fascinating thing for actors to not get that kind of thing, but it tells the truth, like what you said, to go with traffic.
Exactly.
So, in the future, you see where this scooting is going to, you know, it's going to be different than a lot of people. 2,000 new scooters.
We actually have permits for 3,600 in the city.
I see. So,
Yeah.
so as a driver, I don't point my car at them, right?
Please don't.
Okay, I promise. Okay. Just
We
asking.
don't need any more statistics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, officer. Appreciate that.
Now, as a driver, if you encounter somebody using a motorized scooter, treat them with caution. They should be using a bike lane. If there's no bike lane, it should be a slower, lower volume street. And pass them like you would pass any other slow-moving vehicle. It would be my recommendation, of course. I think our
What you
officer here
think?
can.
Well, that's absolutely right. And one of the bigger issues we have are people who are using the scooters, which it's a fantastic way to get around. I've done it here in the city. I've done it in other cities that I've been to. I think it's a really cool way to get around. It's convenient, it's efficient, and it's pretty cheap to rent those and travel around. But as she said in the video, there's a lot at stake with traveling on those, right? It's your life, and going the wrong way against traffic is one of those very big issues, because especially through downtown, where you see in our downtown core where most of those scooters and bikes are, people going the wrong way can easily get hit by another car because you don't expect traffic to come from the other direction, especially at speed. It'd be one thing if there was a pedestrian who might be a little bit more visible, but traveling at, say, 15 miles per hour on a scooter is something that is really hard to avoid.
So what would you recommend to people who are driving a scooter? Because I have a family thing against scooters. I do, at least. We got a scooter when I think I was 15, and my father says, I'm going to drive it before anybody here because I know how to do it. And he got on it and he drove down. He drove down the street, went around the corner, and there was a long pause.
Too long.
Too long, and we knew. So we'll come back. We're going to take a short pause for the cause, and we'll be back in just 2 minutes to talk more about safety in the summer. Here we go.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Yeah, we're back. Thank you. We're talking about public safety and scooters and cars and how traffic moves through our cities and all of that. And I find it interesting that the city itself has got a commission, and they come up with a title called Vision Zero, which is zero fatalities.
Absolutely. So it's actually part of an international movement that the city joined in 2017 for Vision Zero, which is the goal to get to zero traffic fatalities. And in fact, our goal is 2027, which is only a couple of years away. And generally, we've been fluctuating anywhere between 20 and 40-ish traffic fatalities a year over the last couple of years.
So, Sergeant Kenner, is that good? Is that a good figure?
No, we want to get to zero. And
Yeah, we want to get to
there fast,
zero. Yeah,
right?
but
So,
I mean,
so last year, our numbers were a little bit lower last year, and that's as a result of COVID, right? Because
yes.
a lot of people weren't commuting or traveling as often because of various factors from lockdowns or work schedules and school schedules being changed.
Yeah.
And this year we're really high. We're at 29 already this year. And
These
that's
are not
traffic. That's
fatalities.
traffic fatalities.
They are fatalities?
They are fatalities. That's 29.
Cars or scooters?
Well, this is a combination of vehicles versus pedestrians, vehicles versus other vehicles, solo motorcycle accidents. So it's a combination. That's a combination number. But we're at 29, and so in years past, yes, we've been in the 20s or 40s for the total year. But obviously here in the month of August, we're already at that high number.
And as you said earlier, all preventable.
Absolutely. Even a third of those 29, a third of those are impairment related, whether that's drugs and alcohol, or drugs or alcohol, or a combination of both of those things.
Okay, so, and that's an unfortunate thing.
Absolutely.
We cannot, I think alcohol is going to be always with us, unfortunately, but people have to learn when to drink it, take it home, or go for a party, get somebody to take you home.
There are a lot of options to avoid driving and after drinking or consuming intoxicants, right? Drugs or alcohol. That's always avoidable. There are so many options from ride sharing to calling friends or family. Pre-planning is a huge piece to that, especially for people going out in the city, and whether you're going in to bars or clubs, restaurants downtown, or any other entertainment spot in the city, even if it's to a friend's house, having a plan in place, and whether that's calling a ride share or using the app for a ride share, or using a taxi service. I know it sounds old school, but they're still around, and there's a lot of options out there, and whatever the option is, it's better than drinking and driving.
I know. I tell you, we did an art fair, and somebody donated wine, and we were in the meeting and said, somebody donated this wine. I said, let's take a vote on who wants to have wine at our art fair. No hands went up.
Yeah.
So
It's a good choice. Yeah.
Good choice. It was a
Yeah.
good choice. So I think that's important. The wine sits in a corner of a building somewhere. I don't know how it's going to be. Maybe in the evening sometime. But at any rate, that's interesting. So what is, I have another slide here for more information from all of this. Oh, it's an active city transportation committee
That's our
meeting
commission, yep.
coming up there
Yep.
on the 3rd.
That'll be tomorrow. We're meeting tomorrow night, but we meet on the third Thursday of every month.
This is all online.
It is online. We'll be in person again soon, I'm hoping. We used to meet in council chambers. We sit up there where the council members normally sit.
Way up there.
No big deal.
It's no big deal. So it's super fun. But it's interesting and important to check out. But back to the safety issues. So we have this big issue with impaired driving in Sacramento. There are two big issues that we face around behavior. So one is folks making decisions maybe they shouldn't be making and not finding a ride home and being impaired while they drive. And then the other issue is driving at an unsafe speed.
Oh, yeah.
And this is something that we continuously see in our severe crashes and our fatal crashes. And again, everything is preventable. In the work that I do in the engineering piece, we try to redesign our streets as we go through to encourage drivers to drive more slowly. And I'm also the lady in my neighborhood with my shaking my fists in the sky, telling folks to slow down on my off hours. Sure,
I do that too in
a
my
lot of
neighborhood.
my neighbors.
I go, slow down like this. They don't, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they
the
tell me to
importance
take it.
of driving with consideration for safety, I think, is so significant and powerful because it's not an accident, and we don't like to use the term accident because every single incident is preventable, and every severe crash or fatal collision means that somebody lost their lives and family members lost someone who they loved and was important to them. And we can do something about that. And we as city staff are working to do that. And we do that through my programs where we redesign our streets. Or in 2019, right before the pandemic, we lowered speed limits in school zones. There's a California law that lets us do this to 15 miles an hour because we want to protect those kids. So at 115 school areas throughout the city, we lowered those speed limits. And then we work with PD and we say, hey guys, we're lowering these speed limits. And of course they care about school safety and youth, and their officers are out there making things happen. And so we work together in tandem to really encourage drivers to look out for each other.
I want to thank you too for coming. It's important that we come, and you come back any other time. We can talk about changes. The city of Sacramento is having a urban bicycling and scooter training program, right?
It's a class, yeah.
Coming up, it's a class. You can take part in it, and your kids can take part in it, and save a life. So thank you so much. Thank you, Sergeant
Thanks for having us.
Collier. Thank you, Jennifer. You are a wonderful speaker, and you are a wonderful policeman. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
This was
Really
wonderful.
appreciate it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll be back next week with another show on LiveWire. It's every Wednesday at 5, live at 5. And we're going to be talking with some more folks from the city about other kinds of things that you should know about. So bye-bye now.